Strength and Softness, Redefining Resilience for the Modern Woman. I recently had the privilege of interviewing Niomi Moore, a visionary whose work has transformed the landscape of healing for women across the globe. Her profound insights on resilience, faith, and personal restoration have created ripples of change that continue to touch thousands of lives. What makes Naomi extraordinary isn't just her wisdom, but the authentic way she embodies her message, walking the delicate balance between strength and vulnerability with a grace that inspires everyone in her orbit. In a world of carefully curated personas, Naomi's transparent journey has become a lighthouse for women navigating their own storms. Have you ever noticed our peculiar obsession with being unbreakable? We've somehow convinced ourselves that the pinnacle of human achievement is to weather every catastrophe without so much as a hairline fracture in our composure. We celebrate it in our heroes, demand it from our leaders, and worst of all, expect it from ourselves. But what if we've been measuring resilience all wrong? What if true resilience isn't about remaining pristine and untouched by life's hurricanes? What if it's actually about what happens in the aftermath of being completely shattered? This question has haunted me for years, particularly as I've observed the extraordinary Black women in my community, the single mothers working double shifts while raising brilliant children, the executives navigating predominantly white institutions without losing their voice or vision, the community pillars who pour endlessly into others while their own wells run dangerously dry. We've inherited a dangerous narrative that equates strength with silence, that conflates power with perfection, that suggests leadership means maintaining an impeccable facade even as you're crumbling inside. But Naomi Moore challenged this suffocating paradigm with a truth so simple yet revolutionary. Resilience is not perfection, it's perseverance. Let that reverberate through your consciousness for a moment. Resilience isn't about never falling apart, it's about the stubborn refusal to remain in pieces, no matter how daunting the reassembly might seem. You can be simultaneously vulnerable and formidable. In fact, that vulnerability might be the most powerful asset in your arsenal. Consider Taraji P. Henson, an actress whose exceptional talent has earned her Hollywood's highest accolades. Yet, what truly distinguishes her isn't her Golden Globe, but her golden courage in confronting mental health stigma head on. Despite achieving what many would consider the pinnacle of success, Henson has been remarkably candid about her battles with depression and anxiety. I had to find a therapist, she revealed in an NPR interview that sent shockwaves through communities where mental health remains taboo. I remember being in a dark place, thinking, I don't want to be here anymore, and recognizing that thought didn't belong to me. In an industry that expects Black women to be twice as composed and half as emotional, Henson chose authenticity over appearance, rather than hiding behind the impenetrable, strong Black woman armor. She founded the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, named after her father, who struggled with mental health challenges after serving in Vietnam. Through this organization, she's provided scholarships, therapy, service, and support groups to thousands in communities where seeking help is often viewed as weakness. What makes Henson's narrative so compelling isn't that she conquered depression, it's that she refused to pretend it didn't exist. She persevered not by denying her pain, but by acknowledging it, seeking support, and then creating pathways for others to do the same. This is precisely the brand of resilience Naomi Moore articulated, not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to be defined by it. But how do we cultivate this authentic resilience? According to Naomi, there are two essential anchors: faith and accountability. Faith can ground you when nothing else makes sense, she explained, and accountability, being honest with yourself and taking ownership of your healing, can help you reclaim your power and voice. This powerful intersection of faith and mental wellness is where Dr. Thema Bryant has established her transformative work. As both a clinical psychologist and ordained minister, now serving as president of the American Psychological Association, Dr. Bryant has dedicated her career to bridging what many perceive as an unbridgeable chasm between spiritual and psychological healing, particularly for Black women. Growing up immersed in church culture, Dr. Bryant witnessed firsthand the reluctance to address mental health concerns. There persisted an unspoken belief that robust faith should be sufficient, that anxiety, depression, or trauma responses somehow represented spiritual shortcomings rather than health conditions requiring proper care. We've created this false dichotomy, Dr. Bryant has observed, as if you must choose between your faith and your mental health. But God gave us both prayer and therapy, both scripture and science, both community and counseling. Through her books, workshops, and innovative therapeutic approaches, Dr. Bryant has created sanctuaries where Black women can bring their whole selves, their faith, their wounds, their questions, and their hope for restoration. She's demonstrated that accountability isn't about assigning blame. It's about acknowledging your current position so you can chart a course toward healing. This message of integrated healing resonates profoundly with many who are learning to shed the superwoman cape and embrace what some are calling their soft girl era. We're discovering that softness isn't weakness, it's a radical act of self preservation that enables healing in ways that perpetual strength never allowed. But what emerges once healing begins? What possibilities unfold when we stop defining ourselves by our wounds and start embracing our complete narrative, scars and all? This brings us to Naomi's third transformative insight. Your story and scars can inspire others. You don't have to be perfect to lead, and your journey, including your scars, can help another woman find her way. Few stories illustrate this principle more powerfully than that of Ursula Burns, the first Black woman to serve as CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Burns' ascent to the pinnacle of Xerox wasn't paved with privilege or connections. Raised by a single mother in a New York City housing project, she faced poverty, systemic racism, and gender discrimination at every turn. I was poor, Black, and female, Burns has stated plainly. So, on the hierarchy of things, I'm pretty much on the bottom. But my mother taught me that where I was didn't define who I was. Burns didn't succeed by disguising her background or conforming to corporate America's narrow expectations. Instead, she brought her authentic self, shaped by adversity and resilience, into every boardroom. She led with both strength and transparency, using her unique perspective to drive innovation and inclusion. After shattering that monumental glass ceiling, Burns didn't pull the ladder up behind her. She created pathways for other women and people of color, mentoring emerging leaders, and advocating for diversity throughout the business world. Her scars became a reservoir of wisdom that enriched not just her career, but countless others who found in her story the possibility of their own ascension. This is the transformative power of embracing your complete journey. Not just the highlight reel, but the struggles, the setbacks, the moments when continuation seemed impossible. These aren't chapters to redact from your story. They're the very experiences that qualify you to guide others through similar terrain. As Naomi Moore eloquently expressed, leadership and joy are still within reach, no matter what you've been through. But here's where many of us become immobilized. We comprehend these principles intellectually, but translating them into lived experience feels overwhelming. How do we actually embark on this journey toward authentic resilience? Perhaps we begin by granting ourselves permission to acknowledge our struggles openly, permission to seek support, permission to prioritize our healing as non negotiable. This might mean scheduling therapy, even if you were raised in a culture where family matters remain strictly private. It might mean deepening your faith while simultaneously recognizing that prayer and professional help can complement each other beautifully. It might mean initiating difficult conversations about boundaries that protect your peace. The journey commences with a single step, one small act of self compassion that declares, I deserve to heal. As we embrace this more authentic expression of ourselves, we're discovering that softness isn't about being passive or diminished. It's about being receptive to joy, intentional about rest, and honest about our needs. It's about relinquishing the burdensome cape of the strong Black woman and reclaiming our fundamental right to be human, gloriously, imperfectly human. When we choose this path, something extraordinary transpires. We don't just heal ourselves, we create permission for others to heal too. Our vulnerability becomes an invitation. Our authenticity becomes a pathway. Our journey, complete with its devastations and triumphs, becomes a map that others can follow toward their own liberation. So today I challenge you, what would fundamentally change if you embraced a new definition of resilience? Not as flawless performance, but as persistent recovery. Not as having every answer, but as asking better questions. Not as independence at all costs, but as the courage to seek connection. What would transform if you anchored yourself in both faith and accountability, trusting in something greater while taking ownership of your healing journey? And what might become possible if you began to view your complete story, especially the chapters you've tried to hide, as your greatest contribution to a world desperate for authentic leadership? The revolution begins with you, not the polished, perfect version you've been presenting to the world, but the real you with all your magnificent complexity. Your breakthrough isn't just personal, it's political, it's cultural, it's generational. Every time you choose authenticity over appearance, you create a fracture in the systems that profit from our perpetual striving. Every time you prioritize healing over hustle, you issue a permission slip for another woman to do the same. This is how we change the world, not by becoming unbreakable, but by breaking open, not by hiding our wounds, but by showing how beautifully we've healed them, not by pretending we have it all together, but by creating communities where we can fall apart safely and be held until we find our way back to wholeness. The world doesn't need more perfect women, it needs more whole women, more authentic women, more women who understand that their power lies not in their perfection, but in their profound humanity. So take that first step. Reach for support. Tell your truth. Rest without apology. Heal without timeline. And watch as your journey becomes a beacon that guides others home to themselves. This is resilience redefined. This is strength in softness. This is the revolution we've been waiting for. And it begins with you today.